Hi friends, today I am starting a new topic called as profit or loss prior to incorporation. Profit or loss prior to incorporation. Generally what happen in many cases, a new company is formed exclusively to acquire an existing business unit and take over as a going concern. What do you mean by this? A new company has been formed to take out the existing business. That existing business unit can be a sole proprietary concern or a partnership concern. Try to understand. A company has been floated to take an existing business unit which can be either a sole proprietary concern or partnership concern, and that they want to take as a going concern. So the same existing business they take, they continue, they buy it, they make payment. This is what is called as purchase consideration. They acquire the total entire business and they make the payment. Purchase consideration for buying the business, existing unit. They make a payment. Which unit they buy? They buy a sole proprietary concern or a partnership concern. If company has been floated to buy a company, that's a different issue. We are not talking about it. A company has been floated to buy a company. Why should I float a company? I can take directly the company, no? Simple logic. I can directly take a company. But why should I float a company to take another company? If a company takes over another company, or you take like this, you discuss like this, why should I float a company to take a company? A company is acquiring another company. It is amalgamation. It's amalgamation chapter. Amalgamation, absorption, external reconstruction, etc. That you will be learning in group 2. Now this topic is about acquiring a business by floating a company. Acquiring a business means acquiring a running business. Running business. What is the running business? It can be either sole proprietary concern or a partnership concern, and that is a going concern. That company, if I want to take, that company I want to take. When you decide to take, I have decided to purchase a. I have decided to first float a company. I have decided to take a existing business. Now the moment I can't wait till incorporation. If I wait till the incorporation, then if I decide by the time I think that business may not be available, the moment you came to know that one unit, business unit, be it sole proprietor or partnership, is willing to sell, then okay, the promoters of the company, now I'm using the term promoters. The promoters of the company has came to know that, yeah, the people who want to float a company, they came to know that so and so enterprise, say for example Uttam Brothers. So Uttam Brothers, you came to know that Uttam Brothers are going to sell the business, and then you came to know that in the month of December, talks have been materialized, and 1st January that business has been taken out. 1st January 2019. 1st January 2019, an existing business has been purchased by the promoters of the company. Now the moment they have taken that business on 1st January, can you say that It has become a company. Try to understand my question properly, then you should answer it. See, promoters of a company has taken the existing sole proprietary concern called as Uttam Brothers on 1st January 2019. The promoters have decided to change the name into Sarvottam Private Limited. Uttam Limited is sole proprietor, is being taken by the promoters of the company. Now they have given name. Okay, since we have decided to float a company, let us call it as Sarvottam and suffix Limited. You learned that in Company Act. Limited. Sarvottam Limited. Now on 1st January, my question is 2019, the date on which you have taken the business, can you call after taking the business, the date on which you have taken the business, the date on which the business has been acquired is 1st January 2019. After acquiring the business, from that date onwards, can you call it as a company? Answer is no. The moment you acquire, you can't call it a company unless it gets certificate of incorporation. Unless that company gets certificate of incorporation, you cannot call that as a company. Okay, let me say, to fulfill the legal formalities, fulfill the legal formalities, it took 3 months time. Say 1st January 2019, a business has been acquired by a company. On 1st April 2019, they got certificate of incorporation. So from that date onwards, it becomes company. Are you following? From that date onwards, it becomes company. From which date, my dear friends? From 1st April 2019. Now, rationally, if you are a businessman, rationally you think, will you keep quiet? After acquiring the business on 1st January, existing business, running business, after acquiring it, will you close your shutter and saying, no, the company has not been formed, why should I do business? Then it is not a rational decision, irrational decision, foolish decision, mindless decision. Why? Because no businessman want to lose the business for 3 months. 3 months. When a company is acquiring a unit, means that unit is a big unit, maybe. Otherwise, why should a company, private limited company, takes a small unit, a sole proprietary? Maybe it is a big sole proprietary concern or a big partnership concern. So the moment they continue the business. But technically speaking, it has taken 3 months time for them to float a company. Technically speaking, it has taken a time for them to float a company, 3 months time. So I have given Uttam Limited acquired by Sarvottam Limited. Now here I am writing first. Date of acquisition 1/1/19 example. Date of incorporation 1/4/19. Date of closing books. So they have decided to follow financially 31st March 20. I think 3 dates have given 1/1/19, 1/4/19, 31st March 20. Now, or let me say they are closing the books on 31st December for the time being to understand it. Since first example, no, let me make it simple. 31st December 19 they are closing. Now actually Uttam Limited is in the hands of Sarvottam Limited, no? But Sarvottam Limited officially being called as a company from the date of 1/4/19. That is after getting incorporation certificate. That will be called as a company. Am I right? So 1/1/19, the moment they take on 1/1/19, as I told you, generally the promoters of the company won't be sitting idle. They want to carry on their business activities. Now, after carrying on the business activities, now the management has changed with effect from 1/1/19. They are closing their books on 31st December 19. So for this particular 12 months, you are having profit, no, or loss, no. You may get a profit or loss for this particular 12 months. This profit or loss treatment is a chapter. This profit or loss is the treatment of chapter. Sir, what is the treatment, sir? Actually, we can write profit or loss prior to incorporation, or we can say profit or loss pre and post incorporation. Then it will have more meaning. Profit or loss pre and post incorporation. Then this will be broader, much broader. Profit or loss pre and post. Now, I think you can see this heading itself. From 1/1/19 to 31st March 19, the 3 months result is pre-incorporation result. Now technically it is being called as a company from 1/4/19 to 31st December. This 9 months result can be called as post incorporation. Are you following? We are splitting this result into two parts, pre and post. Sir, why should you split, sir? Legally, this 3 months profit. 3 months profit means if you are getting a profit from 1/1/19 to 31st March 19, that is before incorporation, this legally speaking, this profit is not available for distribution of dividend. The reason is this profit, 3 months profit, is before the company came into existence. When the profit related to company, profit related to an organization which come into existence, okay, profit before a company came into existence. I repeat once again, profit before a company comes into existence is not a company profit. Then what is that profit? This pre-incorporation profit is capital profit. So this pre-incorporation profit is, tell me, capital profit, or loss is capital loss. Post-incorporation profit is revenue profit, or if it is a loss, revenue loss. Now this profit is available for declaration of dividend, but this profit can't be available for declaration of dividend. So this revenue profit is available for declaration of dividend, but this profit is not available for declaration of dividend. Is this clear? So I have given you example today. You learned that, sir, what is pre-incorporation result, sir? Before a result means profit or loss, came into existence before a company came into existence. Result before a company came into existence can be taken as capital profit. Result after company came into existence can be called as revenue profit. So, but the thing is that the management is same, no? So then, sir, how to find out the result? So that means there are two methods. Under first method, it is called as separate final accounts method. First method is called as separate final accounts method. Just a minute. First method is called as separate final accounts method. Under this method, 3 months in the above example, 3 months result. For knowing 3 months result, they prepare separate final accounts, trading P&L account, etc. Post incorporation also they split. They prepare separate trading P&L account. But I know that previous chapter, that is in financial statements, you have learned that when it becomes company, you need to follow the Schedule 3 format. Schedule 3 format. But it is hectic exercise. The reason is that stock, compiling of stock, valuation of stock, 3 months ending, and then after 3 months, that is in the first week of April, what is the stock, opening stock. I think this is hectic exercise. Generally, that is why nobody will follow which method? Separate final accounts method. If separate final accounts method is being followed, this topic is not significant. I think this topic can be deleted. No, there is no need for us to discuss this chapter. Why we are discussing this chapter, my dear friends? Why we are discussing this chapter? Because we are discussing this chapter because we are following separate not separate final accounts method, single final accounts method. Single final accounts method means we will be having only one account right from 1st January to 31st December. Same books of accounts are being continued. If that is the case, how to ascertain the profit for 3 months in the above example, that is called as pre-incorporation result, and how to ascertain post-incorporation result? That is the reason why this topic is significant. That to find out the pre-incorporation result and post-incorporation result, the income and expenses during that particular year has to be splitted into pre and post incorporation periods. Into pre and post incorporation periods. How, sir? 3 months income, that is 3 months sales, 3 months income, 3 months expenses, 9 months sales, 9 months expenses. Sir, how you will be having, sir? We are having same set of books, all sales, all purchases, all direct expense, indirect expense, everything has been combined. How to apportion, sir? That apportionment we will be learning. That is the significance of this chapter. That apportionment generally is based on time ratio. One is time ratio. In the above example, just I have explained, 1st January to 31st March, 3 months is pre-incorporation time, 9 months is post-incorporation, 1st April 2009 to 31st December. So then time ratio is 3:9 or 1:3. Sir, what are the expenses which need to be apportioned on time basis? That is what we should learn. Then other ratio is sales ratio, turnover ratio. Sir, how turnover ratio? 3 months turnover, we need 9 months turnover. 3 months turnover, 3 nines, suppose 6 lakhs. 9 months turnover is 18 lakhs. 1:3 is a turnover ratio. 6:18. 6:18 means, tell me, 3 2s are 3 6 are 2:6 or 1:3. 1:3 ratio. Sales ratio 1:3. Now, what are the expenses and income which shall be apportioned on the basis of sales ratio? That we need to find. Sometimes it's a combination of time ratio and sales ratio. I think this is what is all significance attached to this chapter. This is easiest chapter. I should wish and you should wish that this chapter should be in the examination as 8 marks question. 8 marks question you can complete in 8 minutes time. 8 minutes time, I am telling you. Only drawing the lines it will take time, and calculation part. This is easiest chapter. So this is a part of corporate accounting you are having in module 2, I think. Okay, my dear friends. Is it module 2 or module 3? Module 2. So that today I will be discussing with you. So far I have been writing on the screen, you are copying down. So if you can take a book, I told you, I think I hope most of you are having copying down this, huh? Because I can't have a direct interaction with you. I can't have direct interaction with you, but I think I got confidence number of times I've told you. I think you are so sincere and in following my instructions. I've seen, I'm very fortunate that I got wonderful batch like you people. So I know that how dedicated you people are. So what I will be doing is that I think there's a small audio break, maybe just you can cross check. I think, can you hear me now? Okay, now, so I was telling you about how dedicated you people are and how sincere you people are in CF Foundation. I have seen, if it is a direct classroom interaction, I think that could have been better, but in the given circumstances I am trying my level best to explain in detail. Maybe I have told you number of times, maybe I am going slow, maybe I am going fast, I don't know, but I am trying to maintain the balancing act. Whenever you are learning about legislation part, accounting with related to law related issues, you should be extra cautious. We can't just do according to our own wish or our own desire. But having said, it's simple. Now this is profit or loss pre and post is very simple. There is some mechanism to apportionment that we'll be learning. So I think by this time you are having one notes with you. I want to dictate few things. I want to dictate. I don't want to work right on the screen. It may be time consuming. Shall I start? Okay, my dear friends. So first point, I'll be writing the side heading. Then you please take a note of it. Meaning of. First I am starting with meaning. You can note down. Shall I start? When a running business is taken over, when a running business is taken over by the promoters of a company, as at the date, when a running business is taken over by the promoters of a company as at a date prior to the date of incorporation, when a running business is taken over by the promoters of a company as at a date prior to the date of incorporation of a company, comma, the profit or loss of such a business, the profit or loss of such a business for the period from the date of purchase of the business, from the date of purchase of the business to the date of incorporation, to the date of incorporation of the company is called profit or loss prior to incorporation. Is called profit or loss prior to incorporation. Next point. Nature of profit or loss prior to incorporation. There will not be any issue on post incorporation profit, because post incorporation profit is, as I told you, is a revenue profit which is available for declaration of dividend. We can make a note of it. Nature of profit or loss prior to incorporation. Nature of profit or loss prior to incorporation. I have already told you is a capital nature. No, note down the profit or loss. The profit or loss prior to incorporation. The profit or loss prior to incorporation is regarded as of regarded as of capital nature, is regarded as of capital nature, because regarded as of capital nature, because a company cannot do any business, because a company cannot do any business before its incorporation. A company cannot do any business before its incorporation, because a company cannot do any business before its incorporation. Next, third point. Now, accounting treatment of profit or loss prior to incorporation. Accounting treatment of profit or loss prior to incorporation. This is third point. Make a note of it. This I am writing here. So I am dividing into two parts. A, profit prior to incorporation. Simple words. Whenever it is a capital profit, such a capital profit is credited to capital reserve account. Is credited to capital reserve account, and such capital reserve account is shown under the head reserves and surplus. That is what I am writing. It is credited to, because capital nature profit is credited to which account? Capital reserve. Capital profit is always credited to capital reserve. It is credited to capital reserve account. And the balance of capital reserve account is shown under the head reserves and surplus. Shown under the head reserves and surplus. Tell me, profit prior to incorporation is a capital nature, so therefore it is credited to capital reserve account, and the balance of capital reserve account is shown under the head reserves and surplus. Okay, then this is completed. So first point is profit prior to incorporation. Second one, loss prior to incorporation. Loss prior to incorporation. And one more thing, let me add here before I go into it. Just a minute, my dear friends. We also can go for the other option. Let me add one more rather than telling you later on. This is one thing, one such thing, or it is credited to goodwill account. First I told you it is credited to capital reserve account. Sir, now what is, sir, goodwill? From where you are getting goodwill? Simple words, purchased goodwill, my dear friends. Sir, what is purchased goodwill? At the time of acquiring the business, simple example let me give you. Assets of vendor. I have given previous example, Uttam Brothers, 10 lakhs minus liabilities 1 lakh. 9 lakhs is net worth, that is capital. Are you following? Assets of vendor, Uttam Brothers, 10 lakhs, liabilities 1 lakh, net worth 9 lakhs. But the purchase consideration say 12 lakhs. Net worth is 9 lakhs, whereas purchase consideration is 12 lakhs. Tell me. 12 lakhs. How much excess they are paying? 3 lakh. This excess payment is called as goodwill, no? You learned in CA Foundation company fundamentals. When purchase consideration is more than net worth, it is called as goodwill. I repeat once again, purchase consideration is more than net worth. Actually, you are supposed to pay, Sarvottam Limited has to pay 12 lakhs in the example, above example. The name I have given, Sarvottam, name of the company. Uttam is the name of the vendor, selling enterprise. 9 lakhs is you need to pay, but you are paying 12 lakhs. The 3 lakhs is the reputation, because you are using the same premises, same business, everything, no? So that is what goodwill. It is called as purchase goodwill. You go in the other way. So this is 9 lakhs, purchase consideration is 8 lakhs. Then it is not goodwill. It is called as capital reserve. Then this becomes how much? 1 lakh. Are you following? If purchase consideration is less than net worth, is a capital reserve, gain to company. Otherwise, it's a loss. That loss in the example I told you, 12 lakhs. What is goodwill? 3 lakhs, no? Now, when goodwill account has already been debited at the time of acquiring the business, now this profit can be adjusted in writing of goodwill. That is reducing goodwill. That is what you should remember. It is credited to goodwill account. In brackets, if I am writing, if goodwill account has been debited as an asset at the time of acquisition of business. So if at the time of acquisition of business, if goodwill account has been debited for 3 lakhs, if goodwill account has been debited with 3 lakhs at the time of acquiring the business, then we can credit goodwill. So two options. When you are doing the problem, better you go for this one only. It is created to capital reserve. If they are given information like goodwill account is already been debited, then you should say goodwill account is to be created. Come on, two options for profit prior to incorporation. Option A, created to capital reserve, or option B, created to goodwill, provided if goodwill account has been debited as an asset at the time of acquisition of business. I hope you got clarity on this, right? Next, let me take B part of it. Loss, if it is a loss, loss prior to incorporation. Loss prior to incorporation. If there is a loss, it is debited to goodwill. Whether goodwill account is being opened or not opened, goodwill account is to be debited. Or capital reserve account is debited. It is debited to capital reserve account provided if capital reserve account has been opened. At the time of purchase consideration. At the time of purchase consideration. It is debited to capital reserve account if capital reserve account has been opened at the time of purchase consideration. It means if when you open capital reserve account, when your purchase consideration is less than net worth, if you have already opened capital reserve account, now the capital reserve account can be debited to reduce the profit. That's it, to reduce the capital profit. So two things, very simple. Sir, how to remember, sir? If profit prior to incorporation, tell me, credited to capital reserve account or credited to goodwill. Here debited to goodwill or debited to capital reserve. Previously credited, now it is debited. Profit is credited, loss is debited. I think here note, no need to discuss about post incorporation result, that is profit or loss, since it is revenue nature and will be available for declaration of dividends. Will be available for declaration of dividends. No need to discuss about post incorporation result, that is profit or loss, since it is revenue nature and will be available for declaration of dividends. So automatically P&L account profit is appear under the heading reserves and surplus. Credit balance of, when you are having profit, you learn final financial statements. Net result, profit after tax, will be taken to the heading reserves and surplus. Is this clear? That we have already discussed. So that is why the net result, that is profit of post incorporation result, will appear under the heading reserves and surplus. I think this you all are already, you are aware of it. Then I told you just for theoretical discussion. So 3 points has been explained already. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 has been completed. Fourth point, my dear friends, is about methods of computing profit or loss prior to incorporation. This I have already explained, no need to copy down, just to have a clarity. We are having two methods. Separate final accounts method. If you want to copy down just 2 lines, you can make a note of it. I'll dictate. You can make it fast. Methods of computation of profit or loss prior to incorporation. Methods of computing or computation of profit or loss prior to incorporation. Okay, you can make a note. Under this method, a trial balance is prepared as on the date of incorporation of the company. As on the date of incorporation of the company means, in the example today we have discussed with you, 1st January 2019 is date of acquisition, 1st April is incorporation. That means they are preparing trial balance on 1st April 2019, covering 3 months period, ledger balance of 3 months. Ledger balance as on that particular date pertaining to 3 months adjustments. Okay, so you can make a note that I told you. A trial balance is prepared as on the date of incorporation of the company. Then a profit and loss account is prepared Profit and loss account means trading comma P&L account. Trading comma, you can also add trading comma P&L account is prepared from the date of acquisition. From the date of acquisition to the date of incorporation. To the date of incorporation. To find out profit or loss. To find out profit or loss. To find out profit or loss prior to incorporation. To find out, to ascertain or to find out profit or loss prior to incorporation. Then second method we are having, this is being followed. Generally this method we won't follow. In the examination point of view, which method we follow? Second method. Are you following? Put tick mark. Single final accounts method. This is relevant. Single final accounts method. You make a note. Under this method, a trial balance is prepared. Under this method, a trial balance is prepared only at the end of the accounting period. Only at the end of the accounting period. That is, instead of preparing like 1st April or 31st March, they take entire 12 months. In the above example I have given, today's example, 1st January to 31st December, only one single trial balance. Under this method, a trial balance is prepared only at the end of the accounting period and A profit and loss account is prepared and a profit and loss account is prepared and a profit and loss account is prepared for the whole period covering the pre-incorporation period and post-incorporation period. Covering pre-incorporation period and post-incorporation period. The expenses and income are apportioned between pre-incorporation and post-incorporation on some appropriate basis. And post-incorporation on some appropriate basis. And post-incorporation on some appropriate basis. Okay, I think tomorrow's class I'll be discussing the basics has been completed. Tomorrow's class will be starting basis of apportionment. How to apportion the income and expenses, that we will be discussing in the next class. Basis of apportionment we will be discussing in the next class. I hope you all are following this. I think tomorrow onwards a small chapter, maybe 10 minutes time we can complete that basis of apportionment, and then we can go for working out the problems from this chapter. Right, then we'll meet in the next class. Till then, goodbye. God bless you all.